Before I start, I would like to massively congratulate Jack. This night... Let's get a round of applause for Jack. He loves it. Because this night started as once a month to promote some new comedians and new comedy in Nottingham. He's now been asked by the venue to do 2 a month.
Yeah.
And you've also got a new night, as you mentioned, at Swingers Club over in Leicester.
Yeah.
And that went really well, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
They
were really horny. That was the
I hear they can't wait to come again for Jack King's race. I will apologise up front if I seem a little bit tired, a little bit hungry. It's marathon season and I'm training for my 5th marathon. Have we got any runners in tonight? That's a change.
Yes.
Now, some people who are running their first marathon, or maybe you want to run a marathon at some point, they've asked me, do I have any signs that I've set off too quick in a race? And speaking as somebody who in his 2nd marathon set his PB for the mile, the 5k, the 10k, the half marathon, and the marathon, yes, I do have a sign that you set off too quick. As you're overtaking people, keep an eye on the bibs, and when it starts to say Kenya, what you've got to do then is ask yourself, can you keep this pace up? No, you can't. There's been quite a bit of sad news in my family actually this year. We sadly lost my eldest uncle at the age of 79. He had a fall at home. He didn't want a funeral, which is fine. It's his body, his choice. We respected his wishes. I thought if you died and you didn't want a funeral that you just got dealt with en masse. But apparently what actually happens, you're taken to the same crematorium as everybody else. They just deal with your body outside of normal business hours. So the first service was at 9 a.m. He was cremated at 8:45 a.m. So he was the warm-up act. Now you might think that that's quite a sick story. I've always had quite a sick sense of humour. I'll tell you actually, my favourite joke, I read this in a comic in about 1988, 1989, in the real Ghostbusters. It's my parents' favourite joke as well. How did the little boy kill the monster? Got stuck in its throat and choked it to death. But I've always been quite dark and sick anyway. I actually found out a couple of years ago that I've been mishearing the last verse to Black Sabbath's Paranoid my entire life. Apparently the last 2 lines are, I tell you to enjoy life. I wish I could, but it's too late. I always heard it as, I tell you to end your life. I was wondering why Ozzy Osbourne was saying it was too late to kill himself. I first thought that when I was 4. I mean, I might have a warped sense of the world because I am autistic. I know I don't look it. I went to school in the 1980s. I went to school before there was all this autism awareness. I didn't get diagnosed until I'd finished my first degree. So a lot of the autistic traits got bullied into hiding. And some people have said, oh Carl, why don't you wear the sunflower lanyard to show that you're neurodiverse? And I have no problem if people do want to wear the lanyard. I'm a very liberal person. So long as you're not harming people, I don't care what you do, it's your choice. I have studied history though. And the last time that we got a group of people to wear a yellow star-shaped emblem, that did not go too well. Of course, being autistic means I am, like 85% of autistic adults, unemployed. Yay! Which does give me time to think up some new business ideas. And I've got a couple that I'll share with you. I'm thinking one of them is a mental health retreat in the Peak District. So people can go, relax, calm down from the world. And I'm thinking to symbolise their journey, I could give them a t-shirt when they get there. And they can sort of change the colour over the weekend that they're there. I'm just looking for a hill to die on. And the other business idea is a bit more ecologically friendly, because we're all looking for new ways to power things, to get away from fossil fuels. I'm thinking of a way to power transport with herbs. The first step is getting the trains to run on time.
Best joke of the night.
You'll get a good review.
5 stars on Yelp. I think those business ideas are a little bit better than a mate of mine. Now, by trade, he's a barber. At the end of COVID lockdowns, the place that he was renting, the landlord decided to double the rent. So he decided, I'm going to sack the lease off. And he got inspired by these mobile dog grooming vans, which go to you rather than you taking your dog all the way to them, which is kind of chaotic. He thought, I can do that. But he also saw this advice that you have to niche down and niche. He's always been good with kids in the chair, because if you've ever been to a barber when there is a child getting their hair cut, especially for the first time, they hate it. The barbers hate it, the kids screaming, fidgeting. So he thought, you know what, I can make this a nice, pleasant experience for the kids. So he bought a van, kitted it out, asked me to come round and look at it. What do you think, Carl? Why have you put child grooming on the side of a white van? Another thing about being autistic is there are certain turns of phrases that, because I have a slightly more literal interpretation of language, I might overthink them a little bit, but they all sound weird. A common one that an old manager of mine used to use, he used to try and motivate us to say, oh, you will be rewarded if you do your best because the cream rises to the top. According to the rings around my bathtub, so does the scum. Another one that's long confused me is a positivity one, which is, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. I don't have particularly big dreams, I just want to leave the world in no worse place for me having been in it. I think if you're always chasing the next big thing because it scares you, you're never going to reach your goals, and your goals should satisfy you. They should be achievable. It's like saying if your partner's cock doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. I mean, ladies, help me out. Something that size is not going to fit, is it? And guys, to disappoint you, if you're not into necrophilia before you start, by the time you've ruptured all of the internal organs, you will be. I've lost Jack. And one final one of those phrases that does always startle me is, have you seen these alpha males? The ones they love to say things like, the lion doesn't concern himself with the opinion of sheep. Now, that could be because most lions are in the African savannah and most sheep are in Wales. But you'll find the lion doesn't concern himself with lots of things that people do. The lion doesn't concern himself with cryptocurrency, with Instagram, with buying a Lambo, with a car. The lion concerns himself mostly with waiting for the lioness to kill something so it can eat, because it's a lazy fucker, and then it falls back asleep. That's all a lion cares about. You might as well say the blue whale doesn't concern himself with the opinion of the amoeba. I have yet to see a blue whale with a microscope to see the amoeba. And it might be a bit concerning if an amoeba, a single-celled organism, had the brain capacity to form an opinion. Well, I'm going to leave you, Nottingham, with a thought experiment. As I mentioned, I'm an incredibly liberal person. I like to keep my finger on social issues. And I know there is a lot of debate at the moment about gender identity, and there is this thought experiment I've heard that I've come up with to go on about the argument of there are two genders, the man and the woman, and the man has a penis. What if a marauding group of people starts going around Nottingham and castrates men? What gender are the castrated people? Are we one unruly mob away from Andrea Tate? Thank you, Nottingham.
Woo! Go on, everyone!